There are moments in life when everything feels heavier than usual. The world seems quieter, slower, and somehow colder. If you're an older adult, you may recognize what I'm about to say, not just with your ears, but deep in your bones. There's a silence that settles in your home, a stillness that used to be filled with the laughter of children, the clinking of dishes at dinner, the sounds of busy mornings and full calendars. And now the days seem longer, the nights stretch endlessly, and in between there is this gnawing feeling that maybe, just maybe, you've been left behind. It's not dramatic, it's not always visible, but it's real. You know it in the quiet sighs you let out without realizing. You feel it when you watch the evening news and hear of another tragedy, another war, another young life taken too soon. You see it in your pillbox, lined up with reminders of a body that doesn't work like it once did. You feel it in the absence of the ones you've lost, your spouse, your best friend, a sibling, even a child. There's a particular kind of grief that lingers after everyone else moves on. And then there's fear, not just fear of death, but fear of dying alone, fear of being forgotten, fear that life has passed you by, fear that your purpose is spent, that you're no longer needed or useful, fear that the world has changed so much and so quickly that you no longer recognize it, fear of one more hospital visit, one more diagnosis, one more day that feels empty. These fears, this crisis of the soul, can visit us in the middle of the night when the house is dark and the only sound is the hum of the refrigerator. It can come in the afternoon while sitting at the window, watching cars go by, wondering if anyone will stop. It can come in the morning, waking up and not quite knowing why we should get out of bed. But here's the truth. If you are feeling this way, you're not alone. Millions of people feel it too. There are elderly men and women across the country. Good people, kind people, wise and strong, who are quietly carrying the same burdens. We don't often speak of it because we were taught to be tough. We were taught to keep going, not to complain, not to dwell on the hard stuff. But just because it's quiet doesn't mean it isn't there. And sometimes the hardest part isn't the pain or the loneliness. It's the silence that follows. It's waiting for someone to notice. It's hoping someone might call. It's wondering if anyone sees your tears. But even in that, there is something sacred. Because the fact that we feel this way means we are still deeply connected to life, to love, to memory, to meaning. If we were truly numb, we wouldn't ache. If we had no more purpose, we wouldn't care. But we do care. We still feel. We still long. Maybe you feel like you're in a season of winter right now. Maybe your body aches. Your heart is heavy, and your mind is weary. Maybe you find yourself remembering the good days, when you were strong, needed, surrounded, and wondering if anything like that could come again. And perhaps you ask yourself, does anyone see me anymore? Does my life still matter? Let me say this gently and clearly. Yes, it does. You do. Your life has weight. Your story has value. And your presence, yes, even in this quiet, aging body, is a blessing to this world. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to admit that you're tired. You've carried so much, survived so much, endured more than most people will ever know. You've lived through wars, through economic hardship, through pandemics and personal loss. You've raised children, built homes, loved and lost and loved again. That kind of life doesn't just disappear into the background. That kind of life leaves a mark on your family, your community, your country, and yes, even in the heart of God. Still, fear can be so sneaky. It can creep into the cracks, whispering lies. You're forgotten. You've done all you can. There's nothing left for you. And those lies can feel louder than the truth. But they are lies. Because as long as you are breathing, you are becoming. As long as your heart beats, there is a purpose. Maybe it looks different than it did in your 30s or 40s. Maybe it's not fast-paced or impressive to the outside world, but it is still sacred. Maybe your purpose now is to share wisdom, to pray quietly for your family, to listen deeply to a friend, to remind someone younger that they are not alone in their struggles, to write letters, to sing softly, to remember out loud so others can learn. You don't have to change the world to matter. You are enough. And yet, it's still okay to admit it. Life is hard. The news can be overwhelming. The pace of the world can feel too fast, too cold, too disconnected. Technology moves faster than we do. Morals seem confused. People seem lost. And sometimes, it's easier to shut it all out than try to keep up. But even here, especially here, there is something holy. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who are anchored. People who've seen enough to know what really matters. You are one of those people. Yes, you may feel tired, but you are still here. You are still a witness to something eternal. And in your stillness, you offer peace. In your quiet, you offer wisdom. In your waiting, you offer hope. Perhaps the greatest crisis of all is when we begin to believe that we've outlived our usefulness. That is the true sorrow of aging. Not just the aches or the diagnoses, but the feeling of invisibility, the fading. But listen carefully. God has not forgotten you. He sees the lines on your face and knows every story behind them. He sees the tears you cry when no one is watching. He hears the prayers you whisper in the dark. And he understands the ache in your bones and in your spirit. You may feel like you are locked behind a door of fear, just as the disciples once were. Terrified, unsure, grieving what they had lost. But even in that locked room, someone came. Someone who did not knock, did not wait, did not condemn. He simply appeared. And the first words he spoke were not commands or judgment. They were words for the soul. Peace be with you. In the midst of your fear, in the middle of your questions, in the silence of your sorrow, there is still one who enters gently and says the same. Peace be with you. That's not just a greeting. It's a gift, promise. And this is only the beginning. Imagine this. It's evening. The sun has gone down, and the world outside is quiet, but not peaceful. Inside a small upper room, the doors are locked tight. The windows are shuttered. Not a word is spoken. A group of grown men, strong men, some of them fishermen who knew how to weather storms, sit together in silence, afraid. They're not afraid of thunder or waves tonight. They're afraid of people, of death, of what might happen next. They're confused, broken, grieving, stunned. They followed a man for 3 years, a man who healed the sick, calmed the sea, fed the hungry, and brought the dead back to life. They left their homes, their jobs, everything to walk with him. They believed he was the one who would save them. And now he's gone. Just days ago, they saw him arrested, beaten, crucified. Some of them watched from a distance as he died. Others ran away. They scattered like leaves in the wind, terrified that they might be next. Now they sit in this locked room, hiding. This is where fear lives. Not just fear of soldiers or angry crowds, but fear that everything they hoped for was a lie. Fear that they were fools. Fear that they were wrong. You don't have to be a disciple to understand that kind of fear. Maybe you've been in a room like that, not physically, but spiritually or emotionally. Maybe you've sat alone in your house with all the doors shut, not from burglars or weather, but from the world. Maybe you've stared at a hospital ceiling, waiting on test results. Maybe you've stood by a grave or felt the weight of bills you couldn't pay. Maybe you've lost someone you loved deeply, and you sat there wondering if you'd ever feel whole again. And in those moments, it's easy to feel forgotten, alone, paralyzed by fear. That's where the disciples were. And then something happened that no one expected. The Gospel of John tells us that Jesus came and stood among them. He didn't knock. He didn't shout through the window. He didn't wait to be invited in. He simply appeared, not in a blaze of fire, not with thunder or lightning, but in the quiet of that locked room, he stood among them. And the very first words he said, "Peace be with you." Not, "Where were you when I needed you?" Not, "Why did you run?" Not, "I told you this would happen." No blame, no anger, no punishment, just peace. In a moment filled with fear, Jesus spoke peace. Let that settle into your heart. He didn't come to fix their political problems. He didn't take away the Roman occupation. He didn't even change the circumstances outside that room. But he changed the atmosphere inside that room with a word. Peace be with you. Why those words? Because he knew what they needed most. They didn't need a battle cry. They didn't need a lecture. They needed calm, assurance, comfort. They needed to know that despite all that had happened, they were still loved. Jesus, freshly risen from the grave, chose not to confront or correct. He chose to comfort, and he still does. That same Jesus, the one who walked into a room full of fear, is still walking into our rooms today. Maybe not in physical form, but through his Spirit, through his word, through quiet moments when we least expect him. Maybe it's in the middle of the night when you can't sleep. Maybe it's during a slow walk through your neighborhood. Maybe it's when you sit quietly with your Bible or hear a familiar hymn. Sometimes, it's in the face of someone who smiles at you just when you needed it most. And in those moments, he whispers the same thing. Peace be with you. It's not the kind of peace the world gives. Temporary, fragile, easily broken. The world offers peace that depends on everything being okay on the outside. But the peace of Jesus runs deeper. It's peace in the midst of the storm, not in the absence of it. That's why this story matters so much. Not just because Jesus rose from the dead, but because he chose to come back to the ones who had abandoned him and offer them peace. It tells us something about the heart of God. It tells us he is not looking to condemn us in our weakness. He's not angry when we're afraid. He doesn't turn away when we lock the doors. He comes in, quietly, gently, lovingly, and he speaks peace. For those of us who've lived long lives, we know the world can be unpredictable. We've seen wars, recessions, diseases, and loss. We've had days when we felt confident, and days when we weren't sure how we'd make it to tomorrow. The older we get, the more we realize that peace doesn't come from what's in our bank account or on the news. It comes from someone greater. And if we're honest, sometimes it's hardest to find peace in the places we've closed off. The places in our hearts where grief lives, where shame whispers, where regrets hide. But Jesus walks through locked doors. He's not stopped by age or sorrow. He's not put off by our doubts or our silence. He enters the places we think are too broken, too far gone, too late. And when he gets there, he does what he's always done. He speaks peace. The peace he gives isn't always a change in our circumstances, but it is always a change in us. It's peace that steadies shaky hands. Peace that quiets racing thoughts. Peace that reminds us we are not forgotten, not abandoned, not finished. He gives us peace in our grief, not by erasing it, but by sitting with us in it. He gives us peace in our weakness, not by making us strong again, but by being strong for us. He gives us peace in our aging, reminding us that every gray hair, every wrinkle, every step we take is seen and loved by him. In the quiet of your heart, do you hear it? Peace be with you. It's not just a story, it's a truth. Jesus didn't just speak peace to them, he speaks peace to you. Right now, in this moment, you may feel locked in by the walls of fear, by the reality of illness, by the heaviness of aging. But the risen Christ is not limited by doors or walls or doubt. He comes to you wherever you are, and his first word is not judgment. It is peace. If you are weary, you are not alone. If you are afraid, you are not weak. If you are grieving, you are not forgotten. And if you are longing for peace, real peace, deep peace, then hear this. He is here. He is risen. And he is whispering into your soul. Peace be with you. Let that be the beginning of healing. Not a sudden fix, but a sacred shift. A return to center. A knowing that even when life is loud and frightening, even when the world feels uncertain, there is one who steps into the storm and speaks peace. And he's doing it again. For you, there is a kind of pain that the world doesn't always see. It's not always in the hospital reports or the medication bottles. It's not always in the cane or the walker or the swelling in the hands. Sometimes it's hidden, quiet. It lives deep within the soul, where it aches in places only you and God know about. Maybe you've carried it for years, a memory that still stings, a name you don't speak aloud anymore, a grief that time hasn't healed. Or maybe it's something new, a diagnosis, a loss, a change in your body that's left you unsure of how much longer you can keep going like this. Whatever it is, it's real, and you don't have to pretend it's not. Pain is a part of life. That's not an easy truth, but it's an honest one. No matter how strong we are, no matter how many birthdays we've celebrated or how many prayers we've prayed, pain still finds its way in. It comes in the form of arthritis and cancer, in the loss of a spouse, the distance of a child, the fading of memory. It comes in loneliness, in sitting down to meals with one chair too many, in seeing photos of people we used to call every day, who now live only in frames and in our hearts. And sometimes, when we're in the thick of it, we ask ourselves, where is peace now? Jesus said, "Peace be with you." But what does that really mean when your body is failing? When sleep doesn't come easily? When you feel like the world has moved on without you? Here's the sacred truth. The peace Jesus gives is not the absence of pain. It is his presence in the pain. Think about that moment again when the disciples were hiding, broken, afraid. Jesus didn't snap his fingers and erase their wounds. He didn't undo the past 3 days. He didn't say, "Let's pretend none of that happened." Instead, what did he do? He showed them his scars. Let that sink in. The risen Savior, the Lord of all, the conqueror of death, stood in front of them and didn't hide his wounds. He didn't cover up the holes in his hands or the mark in his side. He let them see. He let them touch. Because those scars were part of the story. Not just signs of suffering, but signs of survival, signs of sacrifice, and signs of victory. If even Jesus, in his resurrected glory, carried his wounds with him, then maybe we don't need to be ashamed of ours. Your pain tells a story, not of defeat, but of enduring, of loving, of outlasting what tried to destroy you. Every wrinkle, every ache, every scar, on your body or on your heart, is a witness to the life you've lived and the grace that's carried you through. You see, peace doesn't mean forgetting your grief. It means being held in your grief. Peace doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means knowing someone is with you, even when it's not. Peace isn't denial, it's presence. A holy, healing presence. Maybe you've been taught your whole life to be strong, to carry your pain quietly, and there's dignity in that. But let me tell you something you may have never heard before. Jesus does not turn away from your pain. He enters it. He honors it. He walks through it with you. He doesn't just offer peace from a distance. He brings it right to your bedside. He whispers it in the dark. He meets you in the waiting room, in the cemetery, in the middle of the night, when the world is asleep and your mind won't stop racing. He comes close, and he stays. Sometimes we think we need to be perfect for God to show up, that we have to have the right words or the right attitude. But that's not how he works. Jesus didn't wait for the disciples to get their act together. He didn't wait for them to have the right faith or clean up their fear. He just came, and he still does. Even if you're angry, even if you have questions, even if you're tired of it all and you don't know what to believe anymore, he still comes. He's not scared off by your pain. He's not disappointed by your weariness. He understands it. He lived it. Jesus knew what it felt like to be alone, to be betrayed, to be misunderstood, to feel pain, hunger, exhaustion, and even death. He walked through it all so that when you walk through it too, you'll never be alone. He doesn't take the suffering away always, but he gives it meaning, and in the middle of it, he offers peace. It might not come in lightning bolts or angel choirs. Sometimes peace comes as a quiet moment, a deep breath that wasn't there before, a verse that suddenly speaks to your heart, a call from someone you hadn't heard from in a while, a song that plays at just the right time, a sunrise that catches you off guard. These are not coincidences. They are reminders. Reminders that even when your world feels like it's breaking, God is still near. His peace is not fragile. It's not something you can lose like your keys. It's not based on your mood or your circumstances. His peace is rooted in who he is, unchanging, faithful, and present. And he is with you, right now, in this moment, not just in the someday when things are better, but now, in the middle of the hospital appointments, the unanswered questions, the quiet house, the sleepless nights. He is with you. So let the tears come if they need to. Let the sighs rise up. Let your shoulders drop and rest. You don't have to carry everything on your own. You were never meant to. Peace is not a reward for having it all together. It's a gift for those who know they don't. And you are worthy of that gift. You are not forgotten. Your life is not over. God is still writing your story. And even if this chapter feels painful or slow or confusing, it is not the end. The world may see your age and see limits, but God sees a lifetime of love and courage and wisdom. He sees someone who still matters, who still has purpose, who still belongs. And his peace, it isn't just for your mind, it's for your heart, your body, your spirit, every part of you. So let yourself receive it. Breathe it in. Let it settle deep into the places that ache. Let it remind you that you are not alone. You are loved, you are seen, and you are held right here, right now by the Prince of Peace. There's something about the morning light that feels different when you get older. It's quieter, softer. It doesn't burst through the windows the way it used to. It slips in slowly, casting long shadows across the floor. And if you've lived long enough, you know that the morning isn't something to rush anymore. It's something to receive. Each sunrise is a gift. Each breath you take is a blessing. But sometimes, even in the quiet beauty of the day's beginning, the mind is still heavy. The heart still aches. Peace can feel like something you remember from long ago. A feeling from another season of life when things made more sense. When your body was stronger, your phone rang more often, and your to-do list was full. Now the days feel slower. Maybe the calendar is emptier. The house is quieter. The mirror reflects a face you don't always recognize. The same eyes, but lined with time and memory. And in those quiet moments, it's easy to wonder, what is my purpose now? What am I supposed to do with this day? That question is not small, cuts deep. But friend, I want you to hear this today. Your purpose didn't end when you retired. It didn't vanish when the kids moved out or when your spouse passed away or when your health started to change. Your value didn't fade with the color of your hair or the strength of your muscles. Because your purpose was never about how busy you were. It's always been about who you are. You are a beloved child of God. You are a vessel of peace in a world filled with noise. You are a light in the lives of those around you, even when you don't realize it. Maybe you don't have the energy to volunteer like you used to. Maybe you can't drive or travel or chase after grandkids like you once did. But none of that has changed the fact that you are still here for a reason. And maybe, just maybe, your greatest calling in this season is not to do more, but to be still more, to carry peace, to embody it, to breathe it in, and then breathe it out into the lives of others. You've lived long enough to see the world shift and change. You've watched fashions come and go, presidents rise and fall, technology move faster than we can keep up. You've said goodbye to people you never thought you'd lose. You've witnessed joy and sorrow, progress and pain. And through it all, you've gained something that can't be taught in schools or earned in careers. You've gained wisdom. The world needs that more than ever. Not the kind of wisdom that shouts from a stage or posts clever things online, but the kind that sits beside someone in silence and listens. The kind that prays without needing applause. The kind that offers a cup of tea and a warm blanket and says, "You're going to be okay." That's peace. That's purpose. That's power. And here's the truth. Jesus is not waiting for you to be stronger, younger, or busier to use you. He is with you now, in this moment, in this season. And the peace he offers is not just for eternity, it's for today. It's the peace that lets you sit by the window and smile at the sunlight, even if your knees hurt. It's the peace that lets you bless your family with a quiet prayer, even if they never hear you say it out loud. It's the peace that lets you forgive yourself for the mistakes of the past and trust that God still delights in you. It's the peace that frees you from the pressure to perform and lets you simply be present. So when the fear creeps in, when the news is overwhelming, when the loneliness is loud, when the future feels uncertain, you can return to that sacred place inside where the voice of Jesus still whispers, "Peace be with you." He's not just the God of yesterday. He's the God of right now. He sees you when you shuffle to the kitchen in the morning, when you fold laundry slowly, when you take your medication, when you sit in your favorite chair and stare out at the trees, remembering years gone by. He's not far. He's close, closer than breath. And the peace he offers is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting that he does. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you know the one who holds tomorrow, and he's already there. So breathe, dear one. Slow down. Let the weight slide off your shoulders for a moment. You're not in this alone. You never have been. Even when others forget to call, when the doctor's news is hard to hear, when the mirror shows more lines than you'd like, he sees you. He honors your life. He walks with you. And every step you take today, whether it's across the living room or across the pages of your prayer journal, is a step made in grace. So live this day not in fear, but in peace. Let it be enough to water your plants, to smile at the neighbor, to rest without guilt, to laugh at an old memory, to hum a hymn while you wash the dishes. Let it be enough to open your heart to God's presence right where you are. Because this day, this very ordinary, simple day, is holy. You are living a sacred life, even in the quiet. You don't need to impress God. You already belong to him. You don't need to earn his peace. It is already yours. So claim it. Let his peace fill the corners of your mind where worry tries to sneak in. Let it soften the edges of your grief. Let it surround you like a warm quilt, stitched together with love, memory, and hope. Let it remind you that your story isn't finished. You still matter. You are still becoming. And God is not done with you yet. This day is not meaningless. It's not empty. It's not lost. It's a chapter in a much bigger story. A story written by a Savior who walks through walls, who comes into locked rooms, who speaks into our fear not with rebuke, but with love. Peace be with you. Let that be your anthem today. Let it rise above the noise of fear. Let it quiet the accusations of worthlessness. Let it comfort you in your waiting. Let it assure you that even in this season, your life is a blessing. You have not been forgotten. You are not alone. You are held by the one who brings peace, not as the world gives, but as only he can give. So open your hands, open your heart, and receive it. Peace for today, peace for right now, peace that stays. You've made it this far in life, and that means you've seen both the beauty and the brokenness of the world. You've lived through days of laughter and long nights of tears. You've watched generations rise, fall in love, and build lives of their own. You've said goodbye to people you never imagined living without. You've endured change, some welcome, some heartbreaking. You've held joy and sorrow in the same hand. And still you are here, not by accident, not by luck, but by grace. And now, standing in this season of life, whether your hair is silver or gone, your knees stiff or your pace slowed, you may find yourself looking back more than looking forward. That's normal, natural, even. Memories become companions. Yesterday feels closer than tomorrow. But let me remind you of something beautiful. Your future is not behind you. The best is not gone. It is not buried in the past. It is not only in your youth or your accomplishments or the years when your house was full. The best is still coming. Because if you belong to Jesus, your story does not end in a cemetery. It ends in glory. That's the great promise of the resurrection. That's why Jesus stepped out of the grave. Not just to prove he was powerful, but to make a way for you. For me. For everyone who places their hope in him. The same Jesus who stood in that upper room and said, "Peace be with you," is the Jesus who is preparing a place for you. A real place. Forever home. One where your body won't ache anymore, where your tears will finally stop, where memory won't fade and love won't leave. Heaven is not a dream, it's not a wish. It's not just something we say to comfort each other at funerals. It is a promise, a home, your home, and it's more real than the ground you stand on now. When Jesus rose from the dead, he didn't come back as a ghost. He came back in a body, a resurrected, glorified body, one that still bore the scars but was no longer broken. And that is what he promises to you, a body made new, a heart made whole, a life everlasting. That's the kind of peace that goes beyond comfort. That's the kind of hope that anchors the soul. You see, we don't follow Jesus just for a better day today. We follow him because he has secured eternity for us. He has defeated death. He has robbed the grave of its power. He has made a way through every shadow. And one day, whether it's soon or far off, he will call you home. Not with fear, but with joy. Not with shame, but with welcome. Not into the unknown, but into the arms of the one who has loved you since before you were born. Can you imagine that moment? The first time you see his face, not in a painting or in a verse, but in person. The moment your eyes are opened and you see him, not as a figure in history, but as your Savior, your shepherd, your friend. The moment you hear his voice, not in your heart, not in a sermon, but directly, clearly, tenderly saying, "Well done, you're home." There will be no more pain then, no more pills, no more goodbyes, no more loneliness or regret or fear, only peace, the full, perfect peace of Christ, not as a whisper, but as a flood of light and love. And guess what? The people you've had to say goodbye to, those who trusted him too, they'll be there. The reunions will be sweeter than we can even imagine. Every hug restored, every story shared again, every broken thing made whole. This is not fairy tale thinking. This is the very heart of the gospel. And if you believe it, really believe it, it changes everything. It changes how you wake up in the morning. It changes how you face the news. It changes how you walk through illness and how you face the unknown. It replaces panic with purpose, fear with faith. It gives you a reason to keep going, to keep smiling, to keep loving, even when the days are quiet and the world feels strange. Because this isn't the end. This is the journey home. And along the way, he walks with you. When your legs are weak, he carries you. When your mind is foggy, he reminds you. When your heart is weary, he comforts you. This peace isn't just an idea. It's a person. And he has never left your side. Some days, the world will still feel dark. That's okay. Some nights, you'll still cry. That's okay too. But through it all, there is this unshakable truth. You are not walking toward death. You are walking toward life. The life that never ends. And here's something even more amazing. While you wait, while you live these final chapters, you are still part of something sacred. You are still impacting the world. Your prayers matter. Your presence matters. The love you show, the wisdom you speak, the patience you model. It's all a testimony. Even now, especially now, your life tells the story of grace. So don't be discouraged by what your body can't do anymore. Celebrate what your soul is still doing. Don't dwell on what you've lost. Give thanks for what cannot be taken away. Your peace, your lasting peace, is not dependent on today's aches or tomorrow's tests. It is anchored in the one who rose again, the one who said, and is still saying, "Peace be with you." That same Jesus is coming again. And this time, it won't be in a locked room or in silence. It will be with trumpet sound, with angels, with glory, and every eye will see him, every knee will bow. And for those who love him, it will be the beginning of the greatest chapter yet. No more night, no more sin, no more sorrow, only joy, only light, only life. So take heart, beloved. Lift your eyes. Let peace settle deep in your soul. Not because of what you can control, but because of who holds your hand. Let the truth of the resurrection be the steady rhythm of your days. And let your hope be bold, unshaken, and full of joy, because Christ is alive. And because he lives, you too shall live, forever.